I'm Lisa, and you're with Velo Dulce, the show where we talk women, cycling, and life. Velo Dulce is from the Italian phrase La vita dolce, which means the good life. These are stories from women around the world on finding the good life through life on a bicycle. So, hailing from Sweden, my guest today is Maria Olsson, the VP of Creative for Peak Performance and former head of design at Rapha Cycling, where she was the driver of significant innovations in the technology, styling, and design of the premium clothing brand. She lives in Stockholm. She's worked in London. She studied at the University of Technology in Sydney. Earlier this year, Maria was featured as one of Cyclist's most inspirational women. Maria sees herself as a mixture of designer and engineer who takes inspiration from many things outside of sports clothing. I'm super excited to host you. Thank you, Maria.
Wow, what an introduction. And thank you so much, Lisa. I'm very excited to be here and to talk to you today.
Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, I want to get right into it, and I'm going to start with Simon Sinek's start with why. So I read in an interview you once said, from the age of 12, I planned to become a pilot, but due to financial circumstances, I ended up following my second choice career, fashion and textile design. What happened and why?
Well, yeah, so I've always been really curious as a kid, and always I grew up with being really close to my grandfather on my mother's side, always sort of following him around, and he sort of showed me how to, fix tractors and how to build things and things like this. So I guess, it's probably the curiosity of being building things, or the engineering side of me, I guess, started sort of on that side. And then on my grandma and my mum was both very creative. So it's kind of like a thing that was done in my family. They made a lot of clothes themselves, and we did quite a lot of arts and crafts and things like this. But and I guess I tried a lot of things, like, of course, a lot of sports as I was young. So sports has always been a real foundation in my life as well. And, everything from skiing, of course, to football and cycling and, all sorts. But never really been able to find exactly what I was meant to do, or who, what my career should be. But then this fascination around aero flying and aerodynamics and all of these sort of things grew. And yeah, when it was time for me to maybe, I don't know, grow up and decide what I wanted to do, I felt that aero engineering was really something that fascinated me, and where I could really utilize, my interest in physics and all of these things with a career that I thought was exciting. And so that's how that began. And then I applied and came in at the University of Technology in Sydney. But as you mentioned, there's additional fees involved for certain parts of that education, which I wasn't able to cover. And then I applied for the design as like a backup, because you always need the backup. And that was how I ended up there. And it seems like that was, I seem to end up in the right spot in the end.
Right. I love that. That. So I mean, I love what you're saying. It's kind of a balance between very structured ways of seeing the world, like engineering and science, and then it's the creative side.
Exactly. And I guess, if you're a pilot, I think or at least a commercial pilot, I assume that the passengers prefer if you're not that creative with the flying. But I think, but I think exactly what you said was what fascinated me, the whole, engineering side.
Yeah.
And, it seemed like a big adventure, but I think within design, what I've really felt like I've been able to create my own path in a way is around the problem solving and like the evolution of creating, products that has a true purpose for the end user and optimizing, like the experience. And of course, desirability is super important in a product as well, but it's, that's the easy part. The hard part is making sure that it's like the best product you've ever had.
And trust me, if you've ever worn a pair of cycling, I can only think of the Spanish word culottes. What are they?
Bib shorts.
Bib shorts. If you've ever worn an uncomfortable pair of bib shorts, then there is literally nothing worse.
Oh my God, I've had plenty
right.
of which was also like a real passion of mine. And I was like, no woman should have to go through this.
Yes.
I mean, the
Agreed.
pain.
Agreed. The pain. The pain. So how does one end up at Rapha? I mean, how do you get from Sydney to London to one of the most, what could be called one of the most aspirational cycling brands?
Yeah, and I mean, it truly was for me, not purely out of a cycling perspective, but it's one of those brands that
everybody
I followed.
Yeah,
exactly. For many reasons, and it's kind of throughout my career, and Rapha wasn't very big, when I was working in various companies before, but I was always one of those that I kind of followed and was really interested in. And they had, it's one of the few brands that's been able to reshape the foundation of a sport ground up, and taken something that I think was, kind of a bit dusty, a bit like, I don't know. Not something that was very attractive, I think, for many people, and quite niche, that to make it into something so beautiful from a community perspective. And it's like, it's more a movement, I think, than a brand.
Yes.
Which I think is rare. And so for me, it was a coincidence again. And I think for me, my whole life has been one long series of maybe positive coincidences. But I felt ready and kind of done. And I've grown a lot in the job I had before. And then this opportunity came up for a designer at Rapha. And I was like, I'm ready for something new, and I'm probably not going to get it, because look at this brand and they're amazing. But I'll, I have nothing to lose, and I'm just going to go for it. So I applied and went on several interviews and worked my heart out, and it paid off, and I was super excited, and that was it, really.
And do you feel you helped? Can you see that you helped shape that movement?
I mean, that's one of the things that I feel maybe most proud of so far in my career, that I was given the opportunity to actually influence and to be passionate and to actually impact and be in that sort of be part of the growth journey also with Rapha, which was really special. And I mean shit was hard as well,
Of
it was,
course.
of course, because, you know, changing an industry that's so male dominated, first of all, to become more inclusive and diverse and all of these things. I mean, that's hard, but
Yes.
I think, but I do feel that I was able to do positive change. And if nothing else, just like, you know, be given a voice that change is possible. And, you know, it's going to be hard, but, you know, keep at it. And more people are interested in hearing and seeing what you have to do and say. And I really felt that. And I feel extremely, you know, appreciative of everyone that I met, you know, along the journey, all the fantastic women and the men as well. But, you know, I really felt like I did impact something.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at Rapha as a brand and a kind of a microscope of the industry as a whole, you can definitely see the change over the past, I would say, decade. In terms of a number of things, as you say, transforming cycling itself into a cool sport and brand, something that appeals to women and something that a place where women have a space. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah. And I think Rapha's, you know, and it wasn't, of course, not just me. I had such a privilege to work with so many more women in particular within that company who felt the same and who genuinely cared about making things better and making a change and driving these things, which was, you know, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said something there pretty interesting. It was like, okay, I felt like I had nothing to lose and I might as well just go for it. Is that kind of a life philosophy for you? Is that what's taken you now to the VP of Creative for Peak Performance?
Yeah, I think one thing for me, I've never been afraid of change. And I think I've always been open to opportunities and at the same time been very loyal. Like I never give up, you know, and I prefer to make the change when things are at its best than if things are not so good.
Right. Why is that? Why have you just always not been afraid of change? Because I mean, I would say that's the number one human fear in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm funny this way. You know, I'm a incurable optimist, I think, to a degree, like, and also I guess maybe it's like the problem solving thing in me. You know, I need to make sure that things are okay. And also, you know, when I left Rapha, it was really important to me that I didn't leave the team in a bad place, or, you know, I wanted things to be good still, relationship wise and things like this. And
what sparked that? So you said you kind of wanted to move when things were the best. Why peak performance?
Well, I've always felt like there's not that many brands. When I moved to Rapha, I felt like there's not that many places in Sweden where I feel like I could be able to contribute or make change to the degree that maybe I could with Rapha. But
right.
Peak Performance has always been one of those brands because they are so progressive, and when it comes to all of those things that you fight so hard for within the cycling industry, Peak are incredible in regards to, you know, being super equal and looking at people equal, which is also like a very Swedish cultural thing, I think, but also in regards to, you know, sustainability and the values that they stand for. You know, they're very much about, you know, community and togetherhood and all of these things. And I felt when that opportunity came that it felt right. Like I felt like, you know, I've had 6 good years at Rapha now, but I also felt sometimes, you feel kind of like I've done what I can.
Right. I think there's an internal feeling, if we're all honest. There's an internal feeling you have where you're like, okay, it's time. And sometimes it's time even before you understand why.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was. And I felt that when it came, it was so right. And then meeting the people here at Peak, and I just felt like it's time for me to maybe come home and do something new and learn new things within an industry that I know well, but with new people, and maybe take some of those experiences that I've had now over the years and see if I can maybe contribute in a positive way here, which has really been the case. And it's really a fantastic and inspiring brand, I must say, and I've learned loads over this past year.
So, I mean, no pressure. Are you loving it? Is it challenging you? Are you sometimes like, why did I do this? I know that sometimes when I'm cycling through the mountains, I moved from Johannesburg, South Africa to Spain last year, and sometimes I'm cycling here and I'm like, why did I do this? But I love it, but that's what happens with challenge.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the suffering is part of it, and I feel all those things, and I think it's always a struggle to start somewhere new, especially if you're ambitious, you want to prove that you're worth everyone's time and so on. And I guess starting in full lockdown for almost a year and getting new teams and trying to build relationships, that's of course a massive challenge.
Absolutely.
Which it has been, but I also have to say that I've felt very welcome, and everyone's been really open-minded. But of course, and the struggle has been the same for everyone. Especially working with product and people. I think that's something that needs to be a physical kind of interaction.
Sure.
So of course it's been challenging, but I think definitely the positive sides are well outweighing the challenges. And like I said, I do love a good challenge.
I honestly think that there isn't a cyclist on the planet. I mean, I'm a cyclist. I cycle for fun. I literally joke with my friends. I'm like, I only cycle for cake and coffee. But honestly, I do think there's something to be said for that. I don't know, cycling is a sense of suffering, but it's a sense of joy in the suffering. It's kind of weird. I can't even put words to it myself.
But I totally get that. And it's so true. This feeling when you're riding up a massive climb and I love climbs, but it's not like, gosh, it's too hot and you're so tired and you're frustrated. And then you push through one pain barrier and you can feel your tears are coming, but you just push on. And then all of a sudden you get to the top and you get that release of like being able, now I get to go down.
Totally.
And I think it's kind of a good metaphor for life. You need to face a few really terrible uphills to really feel the benefits of the downhill.
Yes. I love that. I literally just got goosebumps. I literally just felt we rode up a mountain together.
No,
I totally get that. And I think that's an important message, even for me and just for people in general in this point in time, in this weird space and time which we're all living through. I think there's a lot of people going uphill, and I think sometimes we forget that there will come a point where you quest the mountain and you will go down again.
Oh, for sure. And I think for all of us, like on a global scale, this is a new kind of climb that none of us have climbed before, and the only way we're gonna get there is together. And I think just having that sense of there's no other choice for us than to be in it together. We all need to we all need to contribute here for the benefit of everyone being okay, or as okay as we can in the end, and at least learn something on, you know, I think kindness is one of those things that we need to take away from this.
I agree.
That maybe we've been too privileged over the years, never have to even question, like we just got on with our lives, you know, but there's a new level of challenge that's also brought us all together, I think, in a sense.
Yeah. I can say that this year it was the kindness of people around me and my bicycle that really kind of took me through the challenges. So I totally agree. I read,
and for me also,
and
for me also, I must say, the revolution of buying winter shoes for cycling. This I think was a real.
We need to talk about this because my feet are permanently cold.
Yeah, mine too. And I've never had winter shoes because, you know, I don't know, maybe as when you're younger, you kind of think you're invincible and, you know, your toes will heat up. And in the UK, you don't really need it, even though sometimes I think I probably did. But then here, you know, like going through real winter again with.
What are the temperatures there?
I mean, last winter we had, it was cold from like after Christmas for a few months, like -5, -10. But up north now, I saw the other, it's like -25.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm freezing here at 8.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I did so much research, you know, because I was like, you know, we went on a few rides, me and my husband, Ben, and both of us came back and it's like, let's stop being miserable now. This is just too cold, and let's just invest in some winter boots. And our best thing ever.
Really?
Best thing ever. Oh, I can't even say.
You're gonna have to please send me the link. I mean, I don't do like product promos on this show, but I am totally happy to share products that actually work. So yeah, you'll have to send me the link.
I'll share. We tried a few different pairs, but I'll send you the favorite one that we had, that we bought.
I have to ask a cheeky question, but I'd love to know what you think about. I mean, this is the first year I've seen it, maybe just because I'm here in Europe. But all these products which are now coming out, which I don't know how they work. I don't own one yet. I haven't been cold enough, obviously, but that have batteries, or you can charge and they warm you. What is your thinking on that? Half of me is like, no, that's unethical. And half of me is like, well, if it works, why not?
Well, I'm kind of, I've been a bit split always about wearable tech. And I think...
me too.
But I think for me, it depends. And I've come from, you know, a skiing industry where I thought it was fantastic when you could buy a heated insole for your ski boots. I mean, that was for me. So I do have this. I think generally with wearable tech, I'm like, maybe I'm a bit too old school when it comes to these kind of things. And I'm sure a lot of it works and things like this. But I think...
Yeah, I'm with you.
For me, I think I rather make sure that I have the right layers on, and that I actually work hard enough. And my body temperature drops as soon as I stop. I have really low blood pressure and terrible for, like, you know, winter cycling to that sense. But yeah, I mean, I don't personally use it myself.
Yeah, I haven't yet, but I'm always interested because I feel the same as you. But yeah. Let's see how the winter goes.
Exactly.
I wanted to tell you a story and see what you think, and see if you think it actually has some validity. So earlier this year, a friend of mine wanted to buy me a gift. And I won't mention the cycling brand. It's a prominent cycling brand in Europe. And I saw this red cycling top. It's like a long sleeve cycling top, kind of, I guess, for autumn or cold summer's days, and I could not get my head off this red top. It's like, I have to have this, like, no matter what I do in my life, this is the top for me. Anyway, I got it. I put it on. I kid you not. I went like 5 kilometers per hour faster that ride. Like, every time I wear the top, I feel like I'm like some premium elite cyclist who's like, doing her Olympic training and out for the morning, like with the guys. I just feel amazing. And I was like, how it's that ridiculous that a top can do this to you? Like, I'd love to know your perspective on that.
I mean, that's fantastic, first of all. And no, I mean, here's the thing, like, talking about aerodynamics and grams and like seconds and
Right.
speed suits and aero jerseys, it's all, I loved working with it because for the people in the peloton it makes a difference. But I think, and I also think, like, for you, a person who probably wouldn't have any aero benefits or any benefits at all,
none,
because of, there's so many other things
factors
that actually impact this. The placebo effect of things should not be underestimated. And I think feeling confident, feeling really good about yourself, like, I feel like I feel good, it fits well, I look good, I feel comfortable. I mean, that feeling in your brain, of course that triggers things. And I think it's probably more important than knowing that I should be saving X, Y, Z. I should be faster in this because that's what this company says. And then being uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I mean, I totally get it. And I think we all can probably, I mean, I have many experience like this. If I feel super, super good, I'll try harder.
Absolutely. It's so funny. It's a joke now, because the cycling guys say to me, when they see the red top, they're like, viene maillot rojo, vamos.
Watch out.
Exactly. Yeah. So how much of your work is technical? Like, and how does that even work? I mean, I wouldn't have the faintest idea.
Well, I guess I think the word performance and technical innovation, are very words that people use a lot. But I think there's so many aspects of this. And for me, it comes back to solving something in the most beautiful way or functional way, or, these kind of things. And I think for me, technical can be on multiple levels, depending on what the product is, for what purpose, and for what the consumer should use it for. And I think for me, like, a technicality could, of course, be a material, that makes you feel more comfortable in hot and humid conditions, or a pocket innovation and execution that would give you extra space without looking bulky, these kind of things. And this is always something that, from my, the way that I think, I strive for, like improvement and function combined with aesthetics, I think is one thing. But also I think a big part of my DNA is kind of being obsessed about the details and be making considered choices, which I'm sure everyone that's worked with me, I know, a girl that I worked with at Rapha, Agatha, she's like hilarious, one of my designers. She's like, we were in this meeting one time, and then I remember this because it made me laugh. She's like, Maria, you are eagle eye, she said. And for me, that was just like, I love it, and I know it's probably so annoying, but I think
you need that.
because I think it's important that we do the best we can within our area expertise especially if we make product, to give the consumer everything they deserve to that price point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they probably don't care if I decided to move a bar tag 2 mil, but for me, it's important. And I think being technical, and part of my, like, everything I do is kind of technical, but I think also technical means comfort or having the perfect fit and
that's amazing.
Exploring.
Right.
You know,
I mean, you've just given such a great example, and I love seeing the world through different people's eyes. I mean, I'm not like that at all. Don't ask me about details. I'm a big picture thinker. I'm like, let's change the world, but how are we going to do it? That's someone else's. I have like the 3 first steps, and then from there, everybody else must carry on. So I love seeing the world through different people's eyes. And so where do you get your inspiration? Do you put on a top and then you're like, but there should be a pocket here. Why isn't it here? And wouldn't it be better? Or does it not work like that?
No, I mean, it definitely does. And I think, wear testing or testing things or trying things in a new way and figuring out what bothers people or what bothers me, and how things can be done better. It's a really key source of inspiration. And then for me, like cycling has always been one of those things where you let your mind kind of just do what it wants. Exactly.
Yes.
And what it wants to do. And I think when you give yourself time to think about things or not to focus, for me, that's always been the time when I get the most inspired, or when I have new ideas. And, it can be anything that inspires me. A person, or a conversation, or I sit and listen to the design team talking about things, which then like sparks all these other ideas, of other things. So I think it's hard for me to say one specific thing.
It sounds like you draw inspiration from a lot of different places, which is,
I mean, for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I read you I don't know if you said it or it was written in an interview. The biggest thing I had to overcome was to find a balance between self-criticism and reality, and be careful where I spend my energy. I failed a million times, but I pick myself up and get on with it. Talk us through failure and self-criticism and how you manage that. I mean, I don't know if it's a female thing. I don't know if it's a human thing. I experience it. I know a lot of people who experience it. How do you manage that, and how do you use it to kind of move you forward?
Yeah, God. It's a big question. And I think for me personally, it's been, I was born kind of with a great sense of guilt, and for some reason, and I think we are born probably with some characteristics that we don't choose, that we then have to deal with, but also being very, very ambitious, and I don't know if we call it the good girl complex, that we never want to let people down, and we always want to overachieve. And also, I guess, growing up in we're very much more progressive now, and I think it's kind of in the later years, for me at least, when I've sort of realized that still in my generation we have had to overcome being overachievers to even be considered the same.
That's very true.
But how do I deal with? I think I've had many hours of therapy, firstly, but then
you and me both. Yeah.
which is good, at least for like, allowing yourself to be a bit more kind to yourself and
Yes.
maybe a bit more analytical about, what's emotions and what's true.
Yes.
So for me, being quite a creative and emotionally driven person, I think it was really important to learn tools on how to manage the emotional, what is emotions and what's reality, and giving myself tools on how to analyze this, and then really trying to let things go.
Yeah.
Which is hard. I mean,
It's hard. It's hard.
I'm struggling with it,
it's
of
hard.
course, now.
And also, I think as an ambitious person, I mean, I can relate to this. Your natural tendency is to always push the boundaries. And so, when you get somewhere, you're like, cool, but still need to move forward. Like, because
exactly.
I don't know about you, but always in my head, I'm like, okay, but there's so much more like to be done. And so I've had to learn, like, okay, let's take one breath and appreciate where we are just for even a minute.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know that, this is something that so many people struggle with. And I think one of the best things that happened to me, I guess, is, in the UK, and the manager, or my boss that I had there, he was very, I had very high expectations, and, there was a lot of pressure, and, excellence was the only, but then he was also like very clear that, I expect you to do the best you can, and it's also, I expect you to fail, and that is absolutely fine as long as we don't keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. And I think for me, just someone telling me this, to keep pushing and to keep trying, and sometimes your ideas will like shut down, or they were terrible and you failed. And I think for me, that was just like, it was a good thing, because slowly you learn that it's fine, and I learned this, and then I'll try again, and failure is just another learning, I think, which I think
yeah, I get that. And what I love about that is, I think if you're given the permission to fail, you don't fail as often.
Yeah. No, you're totally right.
It's weird. I don't know how that works, but it does.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And I mean, I've failed so many times, but I've also learned to forgive myself. And it's like, whatever. It's like nobody died, and I work with clothes. I don't do brain surgery, and I'm not saving anyone's life, directly, at least. So sometimes it's important to remind yourself on their perspective on what I do versus what other people do.
I love that. So what's the, like, if there is such a thing, I don't think there has to be such a thing, but what is now the career dream for you, or has it changed to more of a personal dream for you, or is there one for both? Talk us through that.
Well, I think for me personally is to really learn in this new role, and keep learning and grow for me, but also I think being able to share and help other people reach new levels, and help other people maybe reach their full potential. I think that's really something that I'm passionate about, like using everything that I've been given and learned and evolved over the years, and really helping and guiding maybe the next generation, and also helping them teach me new things, because I think that's super important. As far as my career goes, I mean, I like where I am now, and there's so much potential here, and to grow and learn. So that's the near future. And I think, I think maybe I reached the stage in my life where long term I dream of this quiet, peaceful farm where I can grow my own vegetables and just like, do
I,
whatever I want. But yeah.
I think we all have that dream. And I reckon
Yeah.
if people like you and I got there,
Yeah.
well, I've experienced a bit of it this year, then we go out of our minds. It's like, okay, it's awesome for a week. Now what?
Yeah, probably.
I lived in a small Spanish village this year with like 10 houses, and I loved it for like 3 weeks, and then I started going nuts. I was like, no, I can't. I can't. So yeah, it's funny. It's what did they say? Be careful what you wish for.
No, for sure. And I mean, you're probably right, because I think both you and me, it sounds like a very quite restless people, and but we'll see.
Yeah,
I think the journey that we're on now, and when it comes to like responsibility and doing whatever we can in regards to like, especially within my industry, for a better solution for the next generation and for the planet, that's something that I'm really passionate about, which I feel like I'm in the best place possible for this. And also, I love animals. So maybe in the long future, I'll be doing something with animals. Maybe we'll see.
Sweden has a very big focus on sustainability, which I love. I mean, I hail from Africa, so it's like the opposite extreme. And I think both cultures have benefits and challenges. There's no one right or one wrong. I think, and I also think every place we pass gives us something. What would you say, given your travels around the world? I mean, you say now you're really focused on sustainability. Is that something that's been building for a while, or is that something you gathered on your travels?
No, but I think, as you say, I think maybe as part of the Scandinavian privilege, that we've always been this way, and like looking after the environment, looking after nature, spending very much time there, and recycling everything. It's just kind of a part of our DNA. So I think for me, it's always been important, but maybe in a more sort of course kind of way. Whilst now, we're really standing in front of a need to do a much bigger change. And I think where we may be, and I think my industry and the apparel industry, fashion industry, you name it, it's one of the big offenders, and we know this. So I think being able to, or trying to impact this and creating change on that kind of level, conscious change where we have to, has been more and more important. And here, right at Peak Performance, definitely more so. We did talk about it at Rapha, but here it's just such a deeply rooted part of the DNA.
Lived, yeah. I would say conscious change is a necessary for each and every one of us, as well as within our respective industries.
Yeah.
And
you can't get away with greenwashing anymore. And I think as long as somebody doesn't feel comfortable, they talk about, but let's talk about making products that last a long time. Yeah. But then that needs to then be balanced with other things, and eventually you won't get away with that. You need to really embrace it, which I feel Peak is definitely doing.
Amazing. How did it feel to be recognized as one of Cyclist's most inspirational women in the world?
I mean, honestly, I mean, this was a huge, I felt so privileged and really surprised, and, of course, super proud. yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever felt so thankful and, appreciated. But I never, it's never really been something that I've thought about, or like I've never done it for those reasons. Like I've never thought that I would gain something from like, wanting to do all these changes and be passionate. But it was amazing. And it's hard for me to talk about. It's almost like, when someone asks you to open a Christmas gift, and
Sure.
if you're kind of awkward with opening gifts,
Yes.
like I'm much better at giving than I am receiving. So I was, of course, incredibly proud, but I also want to make a point that needs to be shared with everyone that I've been inspired by it and worked with, along the way. So I include all of my special women in that I've met along the way in this. So
yeah. Well, I certainly think you deserve the kudos, and I think, like we said, at times it's important to acknowledge everything you have done, and I have no doubt that your colleagues and the people surrounding you have supported you, but you led your life in that direction.
Well, thank you.
But I get that, yeah. And that brings me to my last and final question. I mean, I feel like we should probably meet for a coffee at some stage. I'm definitely, I would love to visit Sweden at some stage, and you are certainly welcome to come and cycle with me here.
I would love this. So let's make a
plan
now. I think. Yeah.
Summertime.
Yeah.
What is your message for women in cycling, or what is your message for I mean, it's a big question, and it you've already alluded to it, but what is your message for women in cycling, or what is your message in the world? Like, I think we all want our life to mean something.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry. What is the meaning of life, Maria?
yeah. Let me think. No, but I would say, just don't look at what other people are doing, or, do it for the joy of it. And I think make sure that it's fun, and do it in your own pace, and, do it with friends, or find your own path, I think would be my thing, because there's always going to be a lot of like opinions or pressure or whatever. But I think cycling is about the journey and the joy of it, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to, sometimes it sucks, but don't forget that it should also just either be a thing for you, or it should be something that makes you a better person, or happier, or whatever you want it to be. Like, don't like, find your own path.
Yeah,
that's what my word would be.
I love that. I find when I ride with no internal pressure, I love it more, and I actually do better. Yeah, it's weird.
And I think I learned so much. Like I decided that I wanted to, this is an anecdote, but I decided that I was going to do Steingold one year. And that was like, I was super
in France.
Fit and, in the Pyrenees.
Right.
And I felt like I was at the peak of my fitness, and I felt like, my training went really well, and I felt strong, and I was like, all right, I need a proper challenge. So this is what I'm going to do. And I knew that I had to ramp up my training, but what ended up happening was I felt that it was so much pressure to deliver on this big goal, and so many people wanted to, be supportive, but it ended up almost making me feel too anxious that I almost started resenting it.
I get that.
And it kind of, I think it was a real sort of wake up call that I was doing it. I forgot why I was doing it. And I felt like I was doing it to impress other people over doing it for me.
Yeah.
So I think just remember that you need to do it for you.
I think that's true of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Wow.
Philosophical ending.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I so look forward to our coffee ride one day.
Me too. Maybe we should ride to each other.
Maybe we should. That's a freaking awesome idea, actually. We will have to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll meet halfway or something.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Maria.
Lisa, it's been such a pleasure. Really nice to talk to you.
My name is Lisa, and thank you for joining me. You know what to do. Subscribe, please share with a friend. Most importantly, get on your bicycle, drag your mates, drink some coffee, and I will see you next week for another episode of Velo Dulce.